My name is Jessica Felfoldi.
And my name is Cheri Mitchell.
I was hoping that we could start out if you would tell me who's Sam and all about him.
Wow, Sam was the love of my life, my best friend ever, and I miss him. He's been dead almost 6 years now. First time I met Sam, he was one of the first people that I was asked to go and talk to. And Sam was in a nursing facility in Riverdale, Georgia. And when I got there, Sam told me his story. And his story was that he had a massive stroke. Very deliberate. He couldn't even speak or move, hardly.
How old was he when he had the stroke?
It was around 2000, and Sam is 12 years older than me, and I'm 51 now. So, he had this massive stroke. He couldn't even speak for himself. And his family was coming and going after their work hours. And one morning, the social worker from the hospital, and I'm not going to name the hospital, but they did get in trouble for it later, just comes in and doesn't ask, but tells him that they're sending him to a nursing facility near Macon. Where Sam actually ended up at was in a nursing facility on the other side of Savannah. Yeah, but he told this, he said a nursing home isn't a home. You know, and I've heard Sam talk about how he'd be sitting in the bathroom, you know, and when you're sitting in the bathroom doing your business, you want a little privacy, right?
Of course.
But the nurse would just open the door and walk in. And then, you know, no, can I come in? Are you going to be much longer? Just open the door and walk in. When I met Sam, he said, I don't know that I want to live by myself. And I said, Sam, you're so independent. You would not be happy in a group home or a nurse or a personal care home. It would be just a mini version of this. He said, I know, but I'm a little scared about it. So we had a conversation. Just so happened there was some housing there in Riverdale that are what I call dorm-style housing, where you had your own room, your own bathroom, but you shared a living room and a kitchen with other roommates.
Okay.
You know, so he started out. I've still yet to figure out how he done it. All of a sudden, he started catching rides with me, right? Because he was in Clayton and they were having a real struggle with the mobility system down there. They started it with only 3 buses and a couple of vans that weren't accessible. I don't know what they were thinking. So he was having a real time getting around, and particularly we were having this big meeting and we needed him there to speak. And so he started riding with me there, and it just never stopped. You know, next thing I know, he's calling me on Saturdays, what you doing? I'm like, fixing to go movies. I want to go. Okay. I'll come by and pick you up.
What was your first, date?
Well, the thing about it was, we hung out for a year as friends because I had bad marriages, a couple of them actually, and I was like at this place where I wasn't doing that anymore. So after a year of that, Sam one day said to me, Cheri, and I'm like, what? He said, you don't know it, but we've been dating for a year. I'm like, what? He's like, we've been dating for a year. I'm like, really? Yeah. I'm like, wow. Wonder how that happened. So, and then another year went by, and then Sam informed me one day that anybody that hung out as much as we did should get married. And I looked at him and I said, can we shack up? And he said, I am Reverend Mitchell. I do not shack up. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're getting married then. Huh?
No living in sin for Reverend Mitchell.
I was ready for sin. He wasn't. He wasn't having it. So we got married. And it was kind of funny because if you haven't already figured out, I'm Caucasian. He's African American. And it was so funny because when they'd pick us up on the mobility vans, people go, how did you two get together? And Sam, having this really great sense of humor, made up this whole story about it, right? Okay, so this is what he said. He said, one day, I was crossing the street, and I looked down, and there's Cheri. She's got a hold of my leg. And I'm like, ever since I've known you, you've never been able to walk. And he's like, whatever. He says, and she goes, marry me, marry me, marry me.